Friends, hello and welcome back. Today we have our Madden 21 defensive tackles ratings predictions. First and foremost, please be noted, we see these guys switch back and forth from end to tackle, tackle to end, left and right for a lot of guys. And for that reason, we see some guys, if there's, a big name player missing from this list, that's my apologies. Odds are he's listed as an end either in Madden or he's listed as an end on NFL, whatever it is. For that reason, just keep that in mind here. If there's just some stud missing here, that is the reason. But we try to do our best here to find the guys that will be a defensive tackle or end of the season a defensive tackle. Aaron Donald not on the list for that reason. Ended this year, if I'm not mistaken there. So he's not here. But coming in at number 10 is maybe a shocker here, Jordan Phillips. His 9.5 sacks, 13 tackle for losses brought him at the top of the ranks for defensive tackles this season. It really was a breakout type year for Phillips, maybe outlier year if you want to go down that route, which is why he has the low overall that he does. And will likely, he's going to have to repeat this a couple years and he's going to have to improve in some other areas and continue to grow. But right now, you look at the way he did play from a pass rush standpoint, you got to give this guy credit. It might take some time. For now, I think his overall stays still relatively low. It might even be lower than this, but we had to get this guy on a list. 85 overall. Number 9 is Geno Atkins. Atkins has continued to see a pretty solid overall over the years, but as a Bengals fan, I hate to say it, but you can see him. You can see him start to slow down a little bit here. Obviously, the defense behind him, it wasn't any help last season from a secondary standpoint to help him get to the pass rusher, but that wasn't stopping Carlos Dunlap from getting to the quarterback. That wasn't stopping Hubbard. I think there's just been a slow regress here from Atkins, which is going to happen when you get older. And for that reason, I do think we start to see a little bit of a downgrade here for Atkins. We're going to say he comes in at an 86 overall. Number 8 is DeForest Buckner. Slight pullback from a pass rush standpoint from the previous season. 7.5 sacks, 14 QB hits, but still a really good season. One where I can't really see EA downgrading him from the current overall. He stands at the 87, that is. Number 7 is Damon Harrison. Harrison has been one of, if not the league's best run stopper over the past 5 years. But this past season for Harrison in Detroit, it was not a pretty one by his own standards. Seeing his solo tackles nearly slashed in half, seeing the second lowest QB hits and tackle for loss numbers of his career. He's an established lineman. And I don't think EA is going to say, hey, you know what? You had a terrible season. You had a really bad season after coming out a really high ranked last season, rightfully so, because of the abilities this guy has. But I do think we see a downgrade for him, no doubt about it. And we're going to say 88 overall. Number 6 is Michael Pierce. Michael Pierce has been a core piece to this Ravens defense for a while now, but this season Pierce would finish a bit off the mark. Common theme for a lot of these guys, coming in with a 69.2 Pro Football Focus grade, which is substantially lower than the 88, 90s he's been used to getting. Pierce down to the 89. Number 5 is Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark would go on to have a relatively similar season to his 2018 year, and with him coming in at 90 and Madden 20, I expect it to tick again around that same area for Madden 21. Coming in at number 4 is Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett, the second highest graded defensive tackle of the 2019 season by Pro Football Focus, pulling in a wild 90.1 grade after recording 7.5 sacks, finishing second in the league at his position in combined tackles at 69 and tackles for losses at 12 and QB hits at 16. It was a dominant season for the Falcons interior lineman. We're saying 91 overall. Number 3 is Cameron Hayward. Hayward would go on to finish tied for first among sacks for interior linemen, tied for first for solo tackles at 52, first in assists at 25, rating as the highest defensive tackle by Pro Football Focus this season at 91.5. A true disruptor was Hayward this season. We're going to hit him with the 92 overall. Number 2 is Fletcher Cox. Fletcher, the highest rated interior lineman currently in Madden 20, has seen quite the drop off from his 2018 dominant self, seeing his sacks plummet to levels not seen since his second year in the league at 3.5. His QB hits were down to 10 from a ridiculous 34 in 2018. QB knockdowns to 6 from the previous 18. Big difference. Big difference, no question about it. The secondary of, the Eagles certainly didn't help here. But I think when you're talking about number 1 players in the game, you don't come up with excuses. And for that reason, you're coming up with an excuse blaming the secondary, whether it was or was not their fault. For that, we're downgrading this guy to a 93. Number 1 is Chris Jones. Jones was the beneficiary of a lot of pass attempts this season because of, Patrick Mahomes and that offense just blowing teams out, making teams, forcing them to go out there and pass. But man, did he take advantage. Jones would go on to lead defensive tackles and QB hits at 20, record 8 tackle for losses, 9 sacks. Oh, and he would do all that while missing 3 games. Quite the disruptor. His 86 overall grade from Pro Football Focus would rank him 4th among defensive tackles on this list. Great season for Chris Jones. We're going to hit him with that number 1 spot with a 95 overall. That's our thoughts, our predictions. We'd love to hear you guys as always. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.